Turn to your other neighbor on the other side, give them a high five and say, I'm glad you're alive. As Native Americans, before we do anything with the people, we always open up our time together in a good way. And that's through prayer and through good words. So I'm going to go ahead and offer a prayer for our time together tonight. And I'll be praying in the Apsalogat language. I appreciate everybody's respect. Let's pray. Akbarati ababichgajam, balayla gosh, disay shahomuk, babte chesh tlasa chesh bakhwi, bilak balaywa hamikarakda, bawacha dik, alit chesh kogata balayala, ek bawachesh kyadam, chaju jelak, malabashkurak konakosh, nasana fe konakosh, koho isya inawabe, biligi wilik, bawai hadi. Bihachililikyo. Akalelesh, Dagolak, Ishbafidolak, Ishbilachwagolak, Koho Isya and Awabe. Aho. All right. So, as you can see, I am a Native American. I come from the Apsalogat Nation. I'll introduce myself in the Apsalogat language. I say, Shodaje, Balaja Agemach Lahuk. Hello, my good relatives. My name is Christian Parrish, takes the gun, aka Supaman. I come from the Apsalogat Nation up in Montana, or the mistranslation is Crow Nation. You might have heard of the Crow Nation up there in Montana. My Apsalogat name is Agimachala, which means good fortune on Mother Earth. My clan is the Ashachida, which is the Big Lodge clan. And it's an honor and a privilege to be here with you awesome people. You know, I'm really happy to be here. Not only happy to be here, but I recently got into Harvard Law School. Yeah, the door was open. I just walked right in. Hey, I got in. I made it. So, how many of you have never seen this right here? This right here. Raise your hand if you have never seen this and you're wondering, what is that he's wearing? What is that? I know it's Native American, but I really don't know what it is. So this is called the men's fancy dance style of powwow dancing, men's fancy regalia. This dance originated in Oklahoma. I'm from Montana. So this is an adopted contemporary style of powwow culture dancing. So powwow culture is a celebration of Native American culture. People come together, families come together, tribes come together. We sing the traditional songs. We dance out in the circle in a good way, and it's a celebration of life. So this is part of that. This comes from Oklahoma. How many of you ever heard of the Buffalo Bill Wild West show? Okay. So they had this show back in the day, the Buffalo Bill Wild West show. Shortly after the Battle of the Little Bighorn, they had this show, and they were kind of putting Native Americans on display, you know, kind of exploiting the culture at that time. And they gave the Native Americans a little bit of money, you know, if they were on that show. And if you're on that show, you got a little bit of money, you could feed your family, you know. So the natives there would kind of audition for the show, and they would dance traditional style, or maybe something like this. You know, pretty basic, you know, 1, 2, 1, 2, the steps are pretty basic. And then they would pick the dancers. Then every once in a while, some of the native dancers would go like this. Do a little turn, you know, a little fancy move. And the people who are getting the dancers said, hey, we'll take this guy, you know, this is a show, we want something kind of flashy. So they were picking the natives who were getting fancy and flashy, to where the natives were like, hey, I see what they're doing. They're picking the fancy ones, you know? So they all started ducking down and spinning around and getting kind of fancy, you know? To where it was harder to pick the dancer. And they said, you know what? Everybody's getting fancy. We should have the first men's fancy dance competition. We'll create this dance for the people, for the spectators, the ones who are watching. Instead of just the one bustle on the bottom. You see these feathers on the bottom? This is a bustle that traditional dancers use, just one on the bottom. They said instead of just one, we'll put another one on top. Create the double bustle. And instead of just the basic steps, traditional style like this, they said, get fancy, you know. Hey, not that fancy. So they did that. They created this contemporary style of native dancing, and they promoted it, and a lot of people came out, and the first men's fancy dance champion, his name was Gus McDonald from the Ponca tribe there in Oklahoma. And after that, the natives loved this style of dance because it was created for good medicine. Somebody say good medicine. Good medicine. It was created for good medicine for the people, because the values that come along with these dances in the circle. My grandpa, his name was Frank Takes the Gun. He was the president of the Native American Church, our NAC style, fought the Supreme Court that we can practice these spiritual ways of NAC, peyote. So he was a great man. But at home, he taught me, he said, when you come out to the circle, grandson, he said, you're not coming out here to win money, because that element is now in powwow culture competition. You're not coming out here to win money. You're not coming out here to look all cool. He said, you're coming out here for the people who are watching. Some of them, they can't dance, you know. Some of them are, you know, maybe sick in their bodies. Some of them may have lost a loved one. Their hearts are heavy. Those are the people you dance for, he said. So you gotta make sure this is in a good place. Make sure your heart's in a good place, because when you come out here and dance, he said, the people can see your heart. They see if it's in a good place. And if it is, their spirit is uplifted and healing takes place. So those are some of the values that I was taught about this powwow culture, this circle of our dancing. So I'm gonna go ahead and display this dance, which is called the Men's Fancy. And I like to dedicate this dance to all the missing and murdered indigenous women all over the world. You know, the native people are the only ones who don't have that extra, you know, focus on that. They just focus on the other races, but except for the natives. So it's a big thing up in Canada and all over the world. And so I'm gonna go ahead and display this dance, which is called the Men's Fancy. And if you good people would help me honor them in a good way, and as you're standing there, maybe say a little prayer in your heart for their safe return. Say a little prayer, send some good vibes their way for their families, you know, comfort. And I would appreciate that as I dance this dance. Oh.